Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Controllers, a podcast about shining the light on the psychological aspects behind some of our favorite video games. I'm your host, Joe Moreno, joined by my co-host,
Brandon Craw.
and today we'll be talking about fighting games and the psychology of competition.
And what is this inspired by?
Well, I had my recent trip to Evo last weekend.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about, hey, let's do something about fighting games since it'll be topical. I'm going to Evo, and I got a lot to say this time around.
Yeah, I know. I just hearing you talk about the your experience there, it sounded wild. The clips that you sent also, it seemed so hype in the crowd. I was like, oh shit, this kind of seems this looks exciting, even though I don't even really play fighting games like that. So I was a little jealous, not gonna lie.
No, it's really fun because fighting games, the idea is like you're gonna defeat the opponent before they defeat you, right? So there's not that many rules like you would in like modern sports like football, right? Soccer, baseball. So it's like really like you can follow it pretty easily. There were a lot of casuals there, who were like, this was their first Evo as it was mine. And they got into it really quick. It's like, it's very hype because the comebacks are there. There was a lot of good matches. Then we had an Evo moment 38 with that Street Fighter Third Strike, which we missed that because I was looking for parking because we went to go grab food.
Oh,
right?
no,
and we went back to
there?
the hotel and we were looking for parking and we missed it because people were talking about it. And then I came back and I was like, why are people talking about Evo moment 38?
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, damn, I wish I would have saw that in person. That would have been hype as hell.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It looked crazy from those clips that I saw. I was like, oh shit, people are going nuts over it.
Yeah, and this is Third Strike, which came out like, what, 20, 25 years ago?
Yeah, it has somewhat of like a cult following now. Is that correct?
I think it's got tons of fans now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's grown popular over the years. There's been a lot of content creators like Jay Wong, Maximilian dude who play these games. They're older, and then you got like newer people coming in. There was a guy next to me when we were sitting watching Under Night and Birth 2 finals. Oh, yeah. Bro was just ready for Third Strike. Like he was just screaming in the left side of my ear. Like he wanted Third Strike now. He's like, let's get it on now. Because that's like a line from the game in the song, the song in the game. Bro was hyped. Wow.
Damn.
And it didn't even start yet. So I was like, yo, people really like...
They really like Third Strike.
They really like Third Strike.
Jeez. Yeah. Man, yeah, it seems like such a good time.
It was
Not
awesome.
to mention Vegas, there's so many bright lights. It feels so flashy and like just a big party that's happening 24/7 there. Not to mention the food, even like you didn't even tell me about
to
all
like
this
McDonald's,
stuff.
man,
Oh,
because
really?
we were like, so I found a pizza place out in Las Vegas, which was not in a great neighborhood, but they had some good food. That's when we missed Third Strike because I went to go get food over there with my family, and then we came back to Circus, which is where we stayed. Looking for parking. The whole parking structure was packed, so we had to go like out. Like they had like these weird like bungalow type hotel places. They're like outside. It's weird next to like the pool area. I don't know. They look like bungalows, man.
What the hell?
And we had to park there, so we missed a lot of Third Strike because we were looking for parking for about 20 minutes, and we're like, you know what, we'll just park all the way out there and then walk it back to the convention center. So our walk to the convention center was maybe like 5-6 minutes, but in Las Vegas heat. So it's like 110, 115 during the day. At night, it was like 90, 95.
No, thank you. No,
It wasn't too bad. It was funny because once you leave the convention center, because they had that thing like blasting with AC. Right. Once you left the convention center, it took like a second for the heat to load, like you're loading into a Fallout game, and then you just feel it. You just feel it. You're like, oh damn, I can feel it again.
That sounds brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal, but we weren't out there too long.
Okay.
So
did they have water refill stations?
So when you checked in to pick up your badge, they gave you like a refillable water bottle with like an Evo logo on there, and you can take your own water as well. I think you can even take your own food. They say you can't, but like people were taking like McDonald's and all this stuff in there. I don't think they really cared.
Okay, that's chill. Yeah, I feel like in a place like that where it's already hot. I mean, I'm sure they have AC in the convention center, but just with all those bodies in there and like all this moving around, I feel like it's probably pretty stuffy. So I'm glad that you could at least bring some water in.
Yeah, so, and it actually didn't feel too stuffy now that I think about it. They had that AC blasting. They did a good job with that. Like, it was never like warm or hot in there. Even in the arcade section where, people are sweaty. So they had arcade cabinets and everything as well that you could play.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I remember that. I remember hearing some people talk about how they had just like demos of certain games.
Yeah, they also did that too, yeah.
I know you played Astrobot's new big game that's
This is
coming
a
out that
fighting
I'm
game,
super
right?
hyped.
Yeah. We kept getting ads for that during the main stage,
Yeah.
final stage.
It's
But
so weird that they had it set up though there, like a demo for that.
honestly, I didn't even know that. I saw
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah, there was a PlayStation booth and everything.
Yeah.
But we were sticking to like Fatal Fury, Nin
Yeah.
Impact,
That makes sense.
2XKO,
Mhm.
right? I didn't even know there was Astrobot there.
Yeah, all the people like who were talking about, all the other podcasters who went to Evo and were talking about it were like, yeah, I had a great time. This solidifies my opinion that this might be my game of the year. But why the hell is it at Evo?
Yeah,
Because
that
it's
makes
not a
sense. I
fighting
didn't even
game.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a platformer. So, anyways, damn. Well, I know you're gonna get more into
Yeah.
the details, specifics of your experience at Evo, but yeah, I guess we should at least start with the the full fighting game discussion then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Normally we would put a spoiler warning here, but there's not really much to spoil in this case.
Unless you were watching finals and you're waiting till the pod before the
Yeah.
pod drops to watch it. I don't think there's much spoilers here.
Okay, so don't worry about spoiling. We're not going to worry about spoiling anything.
Not in this episode, at
fighting
least.
game wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. But like all of our episodes, all of these characters that we talk about, everything here, it's going to be fictional. So if there is any sort of resemblance to any real person or a thing, it's simply just a coincidence. And we are also not licensed therapists. Although Joe is an associate therapist, we do not have any authority to make any official diagnoses. So these are just two informal discussions by grad students. Since, this was Joe's experience.
We had to give Brandon something to do. A little something, right? Just a little.
Exactly. I gave myself just a tiny bit of homework. So I found some articles about the psychology behind competition and not necessarily competitive video gaming, but just competition in general, whether that's like through sports or any other means. So one article detailed how prior to 1990s like psychology, competition and cooperation were viewed as just like the same thing on opposing sides. So they were dichotomous. But now, after a lot of research, each thing, competition and cooperation, are viewed as its own concept. And they're not directly tied to each other, which is important for understanding how both those concepts work. So the article continued by discussing how one response to either winning or losing can be broken into three major patterns. Those are balance, narcissistic dominant aggressive, and avoidant giving up. So the balance pattern is considered most adaptive due to the willingness to accept positive emotions when winning, but also negative emotions when losing, with the addition of persistence and resilience after being defeated, after losing. That's pretty important. Persistence and resilience are the desire to continue on, even though you feel like you faced adversity. So, on the contrary to the balanced, which is the most positive pattern, we have narcissistic dominant aggressive, which is maladaptive due to the feelings of superiority when winning and hatred or aggression when losing. And those are usually directed towards your opponent.
I see.
So I guess you could think of a sore loser or just someone who really wants to rub it in your face when they win.
Oh, I got some of those. Yeah. Some people come to mind.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I'm sure we all could think of at least one or two people who fit that. But our final pattern here is the avoidant giving up. And this involves a paradoxical reaction of embarrassment when winning, like they feel guilty that they won, and then self-devaluation, withdrawal, and giving up when losing. So you just like, you either won and you feel guilty about it, like, oh, I didn't deserve to win. I shouldn't be here. And if you lose, you're like, yeah, I suck so much. This is why I'm never going to do this again. I don't even know why I tried this, so I'm never playing again. And I thought this was like kind of interesting to think of like winning or losing broken into these three patterns. Do you feel like there's one that these all have like a connotation to them.
They do.
But do you feel like you fall into one of these more than the other?
Let's say I try to fall into the balance pattern. Definitely. There is positive emotions when winning, negative emotions when losing. Not as much because, like I told you, when the Tekken 8 beta dropped, I lost a ton. The whole day, like it was my cousin, brother, and me. We just spent time getting our asses kicked because we didn't know how Tekken worked, and who else is going to be joining the beta except like hardcore Tekken fans?
Yeah,
right.
Good point.
So And at that point, I was like, well, what's the point? Like, I'm not scared of losing anymore because I lost so much. And then when you win, it feels great because it's like, wow, I'm actually not that bad, right? And then
Yeah.
comes the losing streak again. And that's online. I think in person, no, I wouldn't say in person because people can be toxic online as well when they lose. Like I was playing a Zangief ranked match, and after I beat him, he wanted to put me into like a private room, right? And my cousin was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. He just wants to talk shit and he wants to like run it back till he wins. And I'm like, okay, I didn't even know that. I was like, I didn't even know that. I was like, what? I've never seen that option before either. And it's just right below the rematch or end, like kind of leave the match. And I was like, he's like, don't do that. Don't accept that.
Whoa, that good thing your cousin was there to like catch you on.
Because I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I wouldn't have thought that either, but that does make sense. Like, why else would someone immediately invite you back to the to that room, just if not to try and beat your ass?
Yeah. So
Whoa, that's crazy.
that is, yeah. And then Tekken's got like a reputation that they have a toxic fan base, which
Oh no.
yeah, they do. I go on that subreddit and like, man, they're salty about everything.
Yeah,
You can't make Tekken fans happy.
Oh man.
But I strive, Guilty Gear strive. Balance
Gear
pattern.
strive.
I try to hit that balance pattern.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get heated sometimes and salty, right?
Sure.
And we'll run it back until I win and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? But it happens less often now because it's
Yeah.
like losing is part of it. You're gonna lose. Yeah, and you're gonna have to learn to, be okay with that. And you can take the extra step to go back in and watch your matches or watch other people's matches and see what you can do differently, which I'm not at that step yet. That takes a lot of time, and I don't really have that time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, myself included, but we all could, depending on, like, if we're trying to grow into something, learning that, or realizing and accepting that losing is, like, part of that growth experience. As long as you don't have anything or much on the line when you're losing, then being able to learn to lose gracefully, I feel like, is a skill. One that we all could work on, myself included, because I feel like I fall into the avoidant giving up. I often find times where if I win at something, I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm that good. Why did we win or something like that? It depends on, what the competition is or what I am competing in, whether it's like real life something or video games. I find with like fighting games, I think this is where I need to learn to lose gracefully, because I think in fighting games I withdraw and give up like pretty quickly, or it's just like, nope, this isn't for me. I don't want to put the time into this. I don't like this. I don't like losing at this. So now I'm gonna withdraw from it, and hopefully I keep those feelings in check when we play Street Fighter 6 later.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So just giving you a heads up now.
All right, cool.
So another interesting literature review I found was calling for sports psychology to also include esports as part of their research due to the similar physiological and psychological responses to competition. So they dove into these details that stressors that affect some professional esports players before, during, and after competition, they are pretty similar to the same stressors that like a physical competitor, like maybe a professional athlete, might go into. So I think that's why they're calling for more sports psychology journals to, include esports into it, especially with like the booming popularity of esports. And I guess a quick anecdote. I just remember last week I play like a very casual adults baseball league, and 3 guys on our team, in between their at-bats, were just like watching something on their phone and just like going crazy. And I think there's some sort of soccer cup or football cup that was like happening, and I thought they were all watching that. And so I was like, hey, what are you guys watching? Oh, and they're like, oh, the Call of Duty finals are on right now. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just did not expect them to be watching that, because I think of them as like, I don't know, just these athletes who, because they teach baseball for a living and they play baseball every day. So to see them just be chilling with Call of Duty on the side, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, esports are definitely mainstream now to see these dudes enjoying it. But yeah, and a lot of these articles, or not a lot of these articles, but we did find some cool articles that we will probably talk about later from this esports research website called IGEsports.org. And just wanted to shout them out because it seemed like they had a really cool collection of a lot of modern research that goes into esports.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of like peer reviewed, like actual science journals. And I know you dug deeper into it than I did. I just kind of clicked around and was reading like the About Us and stuff like that. But yeah, it seemed like they have some really cool stuff in there.
They had some cool stuff in there, definitely did. I'm excited to see what they do in the future and what they can collect, because a lot of these articles were like from 2020, like this decade.
Yeah.
That's
cool. And I feel like if anybody who uses like Google Scholar to find articles, unless you specify that date range, you get stuff from like the 20s, 1920s.
There's no esports in 1920.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a pretty useful site, pretty interesting. So if you're at all interested in psychology research, in particular with esports, then definitely check them out. And we'll put the link in the show notes as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you found about esports and fighting games.
Okay, so buckle up. We got a lot to talk about.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to introduce a little bit about esports. So esports, what are they? So these were introduced in the late 90s. Esports refers to organized competitive gaming. The demands of a professional gamer can be related to athletes of a traditional sport, requiring mental and physical training. Esports doesn't stop at fighting games and includes other genres such as shooters like Call of Duty, multiplayer online battle arenas, MOBAs. We have the, League of Legends as well, right? And according to War 2014, he defines esports as a form of sports in which electronic systems derive from the primary method of facilitation. So we're playing these on like systems, right? Consoles, PCs, right? We're not doing like, I don't know if there's like MLB finals esports or anything. There could be.
I know they have like ranked matches and stuff like on there, but I don't know if they ever televise it.
I mean, yesterday when I was at the gym, I watched an esports Microsoft Excel battle.
Oh shit.
So I was like, that's a thing?
Yeah.
But I saw that. I was like,
it's wild.
All right. Okay.
I know competitive like Excel sheet thing. I think they like try to give them these like complex tasks and they have to use Excel to solve it as quickly as possible. And it's usually the first one who could like get the correct answer in the fastest time that ends up winning. But yeah, it's funny.
So yeah, that's going on too. So our focus today is fighting games, and fighting games have been around for nearly half a century. First debuting in the arcades in 1970s. Fighting games entered a boom period when they crossed over to consoles in the 80s and 90s with established well-known franchises like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Early 2000s was Tekken. Fighting games took off due to the social aspect back in the day of meeting with others to play in arcades, tournaments, or at home. So I'll watch like a lot of like Jay Wong, right, Maximilian, dude, and they'll talk about their arcade days, meeting up in the arcade and playing with other people, right? And we don't have that anymore.
No, right? Not too much. No.
Yeah, like you can find special arcades out here that have like maybe Marvel vs. Capcom 2 old fighting games on there, but that scene's kind of gone, which is kind of sad because I never really got to enjoy that scene. So we're on the online wasteland now.
Yeah, I know they have like local meetups and stuff for certain competitive fighting games, but yeah, it feels like those have to be planned in advance or something rather than just stroll into your local arcade and see who's there and try to get some matches in.
Right. I mean, maybe you'll find Jay Wong at the Vermont arcade, family arcade. I don't know. Maybe he's down there to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Yeah. But, so we're playing these online now. But there is an aspect of competing against someone else in person, which feels much more rewarding than beating like a CPU controlled character, right? Even if like you're playing like, basic, like casual, like Smash Bros, right? There's something different when you're fighting your friend in person, right? Than compared to fighting them online. It's just more, there's more energy there. There's more, I don't know, maybe the stakes are higher. I don't know. You're having a good time because there's another person there with you.
Yeah. I feel like that already feels the same whenever we record an episode together in person or even stream in person compared to online.
Like doing Scatterbrain online.
Yeah. The energy's higher. Yeah. It's more fun.
Yeah. So according to Dargino 2014, fighting games boil down to two guys scoring off against each other to see who has the better honed gaming skills. Right? Fighting games are defined by having two or more combatants face off in an arena, most often through hand-to-hand combat. Storylines of the characters are present when compared to other games, and there's a social, emotional engagement in these games driven by social interactions that come from play. So, yeah, I mean, why do we play fighting games? Is it the verses? Is it the story? I don't know. Fighting games don't really have that much of a story, right? It's like, hey, it's Ryu and Ken. They're going to fight each other, right? But they do. Some of them do. I mean, they have like a world tour in Street Fighter 6, which is like you create a character going through the world of like Street Fighter and, just helping out a friend, growing your presence in the area. I mean, it's not like a deep story. This is not like Baldur's Gate 3. It's not Persona 3, right?
Yeah, these big
But
narrative
some people do like
games.
lore, like fighting game lore. Like
Yeah.
I'll spend hours watching fighting game lore. It's just like, what do I do with all this anyways? It's just I like to learn about it. Like, what are their motivations? What are they doing? What are they fighting for?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always surprised by the lore that is found in like the fighting games. I think Guilty Gear Strive might be one of the biggest like lore
One of the most
backstories.
confusing.
Yeah, confusing. Maybe followed by Tekken, because I remember hearing some people like trying to maybe this is a spoiler if you're into this.
Oh, yeah.
With the Heihachi and like trying to justify Heihachi's return to the roster, but I'm so detached from like the lore behind that game. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into that, check out I think I don't know what channel it is, but they do like Street Fighter lore videos, Tekken videos, and they're like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And like if you got time to kill, like just put on in the background. Think of it as a podcast. You just learn random stuff about why the Mishimas and Tekken do what they do, why they throw each other off a volcano or whatever. You'll learn about
what was that about? Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into Evo. So because I was there past weekend. So Evo, the Evolution Championship Series.
Oh, is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
Evolution. Okay.
Evolution, yeah. Is the largest and longest running tournament devoted to fighting games. The tournament is double elimination where competitors are allowed to lose twice before elimination. So this is when the comebacks, right? Like someone loses 2 matches, but they can bring it back, right? And go 3-2. And that's when that's like the hypest shit ever. Like that's when that stuff, people pop off for that kind of stuff, I like this because it allows competitors to adapt to others' play styles, because a lot of the pros, they know each other. They play against each other, right? So they can adapt, and you can see how they're adapting, right? Like even the Street Fighter 6 finals, I don't know where I heard this or someone was talking to me about it. Like if Punk the God missed his combo, I think, the guy he was fighting, which was Big Bird, could have easily like took the championship, right? It was just like, back and forth, back and forth. That's cool because it's like that one moment, right?
Yeah.
It changed everything. That's why we have a Punk the God who's our Street Fighter 6 Evo champ.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff is exhilarating. And this tournament is going back to Evo. This tournament is held in Las Vegas yearly and recently had over 20,000 attendees, which is the largest number of attendees ever. So this is not an anime expo.
No.
Right? Anime expo's got way more.
Sure.
Definitely way more, because anime became more mainstream during COVID, I think.
Yeah.
We used to get bullied for that kind of shit back in the day. And now everyone's like, I love anime.
It's pretty accepted. I know, compared to like when we were in high school or something.
Yeah. Watching Naruto Part 1, Part 2 on YouTube, and YouTube poops in there and stuff, right? Like you're trying to watch Naruto. So this is not as big as that, but even then, 20,000 is a lot.
Yeah.
Main stage could only hold 9,500 people, meaning there was a lot of people out there, and I'll get into that. That was part of my Evo experience.
Okay.
So attendees can watch their favorite streamers, content creators. Maximilian dude was there, Jay Wong was there. A lot of the pro gamers were there. You can like crowd around them and watch them like play through the pools. So you start in pools, meaning like you got to fight your way up to top 6.
Right. Just because you're like already a pro gamer doesn't mean you already start like in the
just
top
because you're master ranked or grandmaster ranked online does not mean that's going to translate to in person. There are different stakes when you are in people, because there's people crowded around you, right? I don't know how how do you take crowds, right? How do you take playing like if this is your first time playing locally, like in person? That's going to be another factor as well. And the fact that Street Fighter 6 had over about 5,000 participants, that's a lot of dudes. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. And that's all I was like, huh. And Pools was running like the whole time. I think they started at 10 a.m. Friday up to top 6 to Street Fighter 6 on Sunday, which that happened like at 7 p.m. on Sunday. So imagine getting through 5,000 people.
Wow. And like they don't cap the number of participants who could play?
And you're not fighting 5,000 people. You're just you're in a pool, right? And you're trying to get as many wins as you can so you can keep going.
I'm thinking for the sake of the person who has to plan all this shit out, like 5,000 people, like, oh man.
And I'm sure there's some disconnects as well, meaning like they don't show up, right? Or maybe they're late and they got disqualified. But that's a ton of people, and that's just one fighting game.
Yeah.
Right? There was like 7 other fighting games, and there were other competitions on the side for games that weren't part of main stage. So there was like 8 games that were part of main stage, And then, they had Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which was not part of main stage. They had, was it Killer Instinct, I think, as well?
Was the Hunter x Hunter Nen Attack?
So they did an exhibition match because that
it
game's
was
not
exhibition.
out yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, which was cool because the first day, I'll get into the first day as well in a little bit.
Okay.
I'm so excited to talk about this. But yeah, so they had like, Blaze Blue Cross Tag and stuff in the background. There was a lot of fighting games there. Like, I'd say go once. Even if you're not into fighting games, you might find something that you really enjoy. And also the merch is awesome.
Yeah, it seems like. Wait, so that shirt that you're wearing, I'm sorry for audio only listeners. He's wearing like a pretty dope Zangief shirt, and it says Street Fighter 6 on it. Did you buy that there?
Yeah, I did buy that there. Yeah, that's where a lot of my budget went to merch. So at the end of the, the pools, right, which is you're rising through the ranks, right? There's the top 6. It used to be top 8, but now it's top 6. I think they're doing that to condense it, which is like the best of the best, essentially, right? And they're going to go at each other. And this is what finals is. This is what the last day looks like. You're sitting in these uncomfortable chairs, rooting for people that are going to be fighting through like the top, right?
Yeah.
And it's just hype. So Evo includes panels, artist alleys, merch vendors. There were free arcades as well. Early demos of new fighting games, cosplay contests. You can casual match. So you don't have to go and join pools like to fight through the ranks to get to top 6. You can just show up and be like, hey, y'all want to play? Right, which we didn't get to do that because we were just like,
I was gonna ask, yeah,
we were like first day. I'll get into it in a little bit, but first day we were overwhelmed because I haven't been to a convention since like pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of people, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. We went to the artist alley, right, but we didn't explore the whole thing, and we're like, that was it. That's kind of disappointing, right? So we went to the panels, and we're like, let's just go watch panels for today since there's panels, right? And then we realized that the vendors were like all the way in the back past artist alley. There's another section. Yeah. And then that's when we started to pop off, starting to throw wallet and money. And the first day, usually with cons, like the second day and the first day vendors are the same, right? That's my experience has been. But the second day, they had way more vendors there.
Oh, really?
Different vendors.
Oh, yeah. So did you buy more stuff the second day? Or
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah. So let's get into my experience at Evo.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna do it in the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right. So that's my the way we're categorizing this. So the good, I felt like the community was very welcoming. Like there was an instance where we were playing 2XKO, which is the League of Legends tag fighter. And who I went with was, my brother and my cousin. We're 3 of us, right? So since it's a tag fighter, we had to get like a 4th person, right? So some dude, I don't want to say some dude, but like he joined us. And he was teaching us how to play and providing tips and tricks. He didn't have to do that. He could have just bodied us and been like, you guys suck, right? But he was teaching my cousin, and then we were picking up on things as well. And that was really cool. He didn't have to do that, right? And we had a good time. We brought it back in the last match. I don't know how. Because the dude was like coaching my cousin. He was like, yeah, do this, tag in here, do this. And I was like, damn, we're going to get it. Like he was like into it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh damn, we're gonna get destroyed out here.
Yeah.
But no, we were able to bring it back. We had a good time. We played, like I think they let you play like 2 full matches because it was a line. People had to line up for these demos.
Oh yeah.
But you got like a lanyard. Got like a little booklet explaining the characters that were available, their moveset, which I have at home, which is pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff. Because you can't get that kind of stuff anywhere.
It's really awesome
at the convention center. But I really like that because this dude, again, he didn't have to teach us anything.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've heard good things about like the community, at least the in-person community for fighting games for the most part.
Yeah, so that was cool. So we played 2XKO. We played Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves, which is an SNK fighting game. It's just like Terry Bogard, Rock Howard, and that franchise is like from the 90s. I think.
Yeah, that's been going a while.
So this game, like, we haven't had a new game in a long time. So we were able to play that as well. And it's cool because they have like arcade stick, they have PS5 controller, and then hitbox, which is like the button, just the leverless. So how I have my arcade stick here?
Yeah.
This is the arcade stick, right? But there's some that just have buttons here instead. It's all buttons. Kind of like a keyboard.
I see. So instead of the joystick, it's just
buttons.
The left,
like kind of
right,
like
up,
WASD.
down.
Think of it that way. Which is, that's why I was like surprised. I was like, they got like almost everything here for people that want to play that way, arcade and controller.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah. So, and they gave you a lot of goodies like lanyards, stickers. You could post something on Twitter and get like a little beer inflatable bottle.
Oh, shit.
Like a little like cheer stick. I didn't get it because I don't have a Twitter. I don't have an X, so I was like,
I created one for the podcast.
I
You
was
should
like,
just log into
the day
it.
after we left, I was like, shit, I could have done that, huh? I was like, damn it. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. We also played Nen Impact, which is the Hunter x Hunter tag fighter, which plays a little bit like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because they got some weird stuff in there. So like I said, there was a panel where they did an exhibition match. So it was like people playing it, for fun. But they were already like, they had sauce already. They're doing combos. They're doing some crazy, gross things in that game. And it's not even out yet. And I was like, God damn. Meanwhile, we're here playing like, this is how you punch. This is how you kick. Right? This is how you tag out. And it's like, it was fun. The only thing with Nen Impact, it felt a little floaty and kind of heavy. It was slow. I don't know when that game's coming out. And they also revealed the full roster. Yeah. Which was a weird roster.
Really?
Not all the spiders are there.
You would think that the spiders would for sure make it into the...
They included Razor from Greed Island. You know, the volleyball guy?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Not all the spiders, but that dude's in there.
I think they had to include someone from Greed Island. I mean, Bisky's in there, which makes sense. Who else did they include?
Greed Island.
Smoke? That guy with the his like... He has like the giant pipe and he can like conjure things with like his pipe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. From the Chimera arc.
Yeah. Meruem was there. I was just like, so the roster's like 16 fighters. For a tag fighter, we're using 3 fighters each. So that's a small
only
roster.
16? Yeah, I was about to say, that feels really tiny.
This is a budget title, too.
Oh,
so that's why the animation's a little wonky. It feels a little slow. But I had fun with it. I mean, it's more Marvel vs. Capcom 3. If you like that, you're going to like this. If you love Hunter x Hunter, give it a shot whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll have DLC characters down the line.
They better. It feels kind of small.
I wonder what Razor plays like though. The volleyball guy. It's like, I don't know. We'll find out when the game comes out. Maybe we'll play that too. We'll see.
Yeah.
Those Hunter x Hunter fans. So let's see.
Maybe we could talk our way into getting a review code or something.
Maybe.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, but that was interesting. I enjoyed spending money. Honestly, that's what it was. I was just like, let's go. I saved up for this, right? That was so fun. I was like, okay, we're going. Like, I got a bunch of shirts. I got like a Persona 3 windbreaker that I did not need.
Oh my God.
But they got
when
me.
Is it that windy over here?
And I was like,
Persona 3?
Yeah, so there was M Rage, which is a shop out in Little Tokyo that we have here in LA. Oh, okay. And they do collabs with Atlas. They do collabs with Arc System Works. Honkai Star, like Hoyoverse, so they had that there. And this was like, these jackets were new because I remember the day or a week before I was leaving to Evo, they're like, hey, pre-orders for the Persona 3 Windbreaker. And I was like, see you at Evo. And they were selling it in person at Evo. And I was like, oh, I'm there. I'm going to be there. So I bought it. They had
that's kind of dope.
Yeah, it's like all blue. I'll show it to you. Mm-hmm. It's all blue. It's got like Persona 3 stuff on it. It's got the giant like picture from the cover of the game on the back. It's very gaudy, but it's like, it's blue. It looks cool. I liked it. I bought it. I didn't need to. Bought it like maybe 6 or 7 shirts.
Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much are we talking on average per shirt?
Maybe like $30.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I was ready. I was like, this is what the credit card is for, man. Because I was like, I need those shirts. Evos every year. I got an arcade stick, which we have here. It was on sale. It was $150 instead of $300, I think. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
Okay,
so they had it on sale there in person, but we had to line up for it the next day, on day 2, because they sold out on day 1.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So I had to get up early. We got up early, way more early than we needed to, and they had a bunch. So I was like, okay, cool, but I still got it
just to be sure.
Yeah. So we did that on day 2. I took pictures with some cosplayers. At first, I was a little shy because I'm like, oh, no. I'm not the most extroverted guy. So, like, when I see people, I'm like, do I want to walk up to them? But I was like, you know what? It's Evo. The worst they can say is no. So I just walked up to, like, it was a Manon cosplayer from Street Fighter 6. And, took a picture with her. I took some pictures with Guilty Gear characters, with a Blanca from Street Fighter 6 as well. Bridget from Guilty Gear Strive. I could have done more. But at that time, that was like day 2, and day 3, we were just stuck in main stage waiting for all the finals, because if you leave, you can't get back in. And we'll get back. We'll get back to that. So if you ever go to like a convention, don't be shy to ask to take photos. The worst you'll get is maybe like a fist bump, like, oh, not right now. I'm gonna go eat or something, or because we were chasing down Jay Wong You know,
really?
We saw him. My brother's like, yo, it's Jay Wong over there. I was like, we were chasing him down, right? And other people were chasing him down, right? Because they all wanted photos with him. He's like competitive, you know. I think he's got the most championships at Evo, like 9 or 10 of them.
Damn.
Yeah, so he's like a fighting game legend. But, you know, I think he was in a hurry. Some guy approached him and was like, hey, maybe another time. Just give him a fist bump. I'm like, all right, let's leave him alone. He's got to go.
Yeah.
So,
that's respectful of you.
It's pretty respectful, yeah. So, I mean, the community's super welcoming. We did the top 6. So there were some top 6s during day 2 as well, for like King of Fighters 15, because it doesn't have a huge fan base. It maybe had like 800 entrants, so not too many compared to like Street Fighter 6. But even then, like you watch it and it's still hype, you know, especially the finals.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work to get into the bracket as well, like to get to the top.
Bet.
You're fighting a lot of people. Even in Guilty Gear Strive, there were so many people we were rooting for, like Varix, Umi Show, Tempest, New York, NYC. They all lost. And so when we got to top 6 for Guilty Gear, the only person I recognized maybe like one, which was...
Oh, really?
Yeah, who plays like a terrible character. And I mean terrible is that it looks like you're playing Mario Party and they're just throwing cubes at you the whole time. And it looks like a cutscene where you're just blocking for 99 seconds.
Oh, no.
So, because this guy, like, no beef with him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but, like, that playstyle is so gross, and I don't want anyone like who's playing this character to win.
I see.
This character is hard to learn.
Okay.
Very hard to learn because you have to manage like a Yu-Gi-Oh mana card system while you're playing in a fighting game. It's really weird. Maybe I'll just send you a clip of that. I should have took a clip of that, but it's wild, dude. I didn't want him to win. I just straight up because I was just like, no. We can't let him win. He got knocked out. But yeah, it was weird to see that in Guilty Gear Strive. There was like people I didn't recognize that made it to top 6, and it was like, what happened, right? What happened? And like when you make it to top 6, they give you a history of like, oh, this player you lost, you beat this player, you lost to this guy. So we saw where Umi Show lost, we saw where Varix lost, we saw where Tempest lost. And we were like surprised. We're like, whoa, really? This is gonna be a weird finals because it's like, who do we root for if none of our favorites are here?
Was the crowd feeling that same way too then?
I think so, because they were like, where's so and so, right? And then when the bracket would pop, like the history, like the battle history would pop up, right? Of like, oh, Varix lost here, and we're like, what the fuck? Like everyone was surprised, you know, unless you're following like the brackets like close day by day, hour by hour, while you're also at the convention center, I guess, you know,
right?
But man, that was wild. It was so weird because I was like, someone that we know has to be there. They weren't.
Yeah, like your favorite athlete or something, like lost to some random person who's just been training their ass off, I guess. So
that was like, it was fun. It was a good time. And let's see, the last day of Evo had some amazing matches that I've ever seen. Like there was a lot of 3-2 comebacks, you know, so they were down 2 and they just brought it back. You know,
hell yeah.
I remember this is going to stay with me forever. The Street Fighter 6 finals, I think it was like 2-2. So whoever took the next one was going to be champ, right? And when Punk the God took the tournament at the end, dude, everyone stood up when the level 3 landed, when like the final move landed. Everyone stood up and started cheering and like just yelling like, yeah, you did it. You know, when he received the trophy, there was like a chant in the crowd. It was like, you deserve it, right? Because he's come so close to winning. And I'm not the biggest Punk the God fan. He talks a little too much shit for my liking. But even then, I felt like the roar and the electricity of the crowd where I was cheering. And, you know, it's just like you can see him like tearing up, you know, because, he worked really hard to get there. And it was like so special. Like even thinking about it now, I'm like, damn, this was really cool. Like, you know, I don't know if other sports are like that, right? Because I mean, I only watch like maybe the Super Bowl you know, like, and stuff, you know, like I don't really follow sports that well. But like, that moment was like, damn, I can't wait to come back next year and see what else is going on. Yeah. Because, it was just like the FGC, the fighting game community can be very supportive. There's toxicity here and there, of course, with anything, right? But man, it was awesome. Also, when I sent you that Chipotle ad, right, that pop off, they're like, yeah, Chipotle. I don't even like Chipotle, but they got me. I was just yelling, Chipotle.
You're cheering for it at
and
that
then,
point.
Like my brother and cousin like looking at me like, dude, they got you, huh? I'm like, yeah, they did. That kind of dumb stuff always gets to me. Like, I know. Like cheering for that silly. Kind of stuff. Yeah, because every time a Chipotle ad would pop, the people would just pop off. It would be the Tekken one, and then there was just one guy like talking about like making burritos and like, you know, mashing the avocado, and people would lose their fucking mind. Yeah, they're like Chipotle. So it was like, damn, all right. I was like, it was so funny.
That's so cool. I know. There's always, it's always like these weird advertisements that you just don't expect. I feel like it becomes like this cult like favorite type thing. Just like, do you usually go to the AMC movie theaters?
Yeah.
Like, the Nicole Kidman, like her thing before. Yeah, that felt like a cult favorite all of a sudden. Like, it was just supposed to be a silly ad, but then everybody, I don't know, starts reciting it. They have nostalgia for it. I saw they sold like Loungefly backpacks based off of her outfit for that. And I'm like, yeah, that's...
Yeah, it's like, I'm too afraid to ask if this is just a meme or people are actually enjoying this.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure it's a meme.
It's both. It's both. You got the people that love Chipotle. And
was there free Chipotle given out if you did something?
Yeah, so you have to send a little code and you can get like burritos and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Chipotle fan, sorry.
I didn't
but
do
like,
it.
I was like, whatever. But
I know.
that was just funny. I just found that funny each time.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, each time, no fail, people would just pop off. And
Yes.
but yeah, so let's get into the bad. The Las Vegas Heat. It was constantly over 105 every day. Luckily, where we were staying, it was Circus. The convention center was like a crosswalk away, and a couple, maybe like a block or two away. The most we spent out there was like 5 to 10 minutes. But man,
you felt those 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, you did. Like once you got into the convention center, you're like, thank goodness I'm here now, because they had that AC blasting. There was a lot of impatient people in Vegas as well. I don't know. Again, heat might have you're driving all the way to Vegas as well. Like, even trying to check in, there's just people mad that there was a giant line to check in. And I'm like, dude, you're not the only person, man.
Yeah,
like,
they probably didn't know Evo was happening, would be my guess.
There's also, like, basketball tournaments for, like, high schools going on for, like, recruitment and stuff like that, too.
That's a recipe for disaster there when you got these two big national things happening. Yeah,
we also had, like, when we were taking the elevator to the room, there were some dudes behind us that were just being rude. Like, they were just, like, being assholes. And I was just like, all right, cool. I was just like, well, thank you guys, whatever. And he looks at me and I'm like, what? Like, takes the elevator back up. Because it's like, I don't know what your problem is, man. Like, Yeah. And then they weren't part of the FGC. They were just some kids, I think, or something. Yeah. They're just being rowdy.
Stupid punk kids.
Yeah. It was just not. I was like, okay. When we were waiting for merch at the convention center, there was just a guy that was just like going off about how he has to wait in line to buy merch for 45 minutes. I'm like, bro, you're in a convention center.
Yeah, like
what else? Like, what else do you got to go do? I know you're not in top 6, man.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
what are you yapping about over here? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, bro, be glad it's not Anime Expo, because Anime Expo, that is line con. You're gonna be waiting there a long time.
That's what I've heard.
And so I was just like, whatever, it's
that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, like, what you're getting yourself into. Like, there's 20,000 other people there. You gotta wait your turn.
You think people would go in with a little more mindfulness about that, about the fact that there's so many people, you're gonna be waiting in a line, and you would hope that people are mature enough to realize that complaining about the line usually doesn't make it move faster.
Yeah.
So maybe just I don't know, suffer through it like everybody else is. And if you got some sort of emergency, maybe don't be in that line.
Yeah, bro, pop a YouTube video up or something. Go on Twitch. Like, it's not that serious, man. 45 minutes, come on. Like, the drive out there took me like 4 or 5 hours, bro. Like, I can wait 45 minutes to buy merch. It's not a big deal.
Totally. I can understand if you were like cut off by somebody. Yeah. I would get a little frustrated about that too. But as long as there's no transgression was involved, then
we'll talk about lines a little bit too.
Okay.
I got some things to say. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I talked about the first day I got there. I was a little intimidated, but that was on me. That was nothing the convention center did, Evo did. That was just on me. The panels were super awesome, but I wish I could have had played more demos and played more casual matches. But again, that one was on me.
Okay.
Right, so whatever. So let's get into the ugly. Right, this is the finals experience. So, like I said, the main arena could fit 9,500 people, yet organizers sold 20,000 tickets. I mean, this means not everyone could watch the grand finals on main stage, which felt kind of scummy. We got up early because we're like, you know what? We don't really care much for Grand Blue Fantasy. I have the game. We played like 4 hours total.
Yeah.
But I'm not the biggest Grand Blue fan. And I did want to watch Guilty Gear. Everyone wanted to watch Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear was fun. Go watch it. Go play it. It's super cool.
It's really entertaining to watch.
And the art style, amazing. So we were like, all right, we'll go sit for Grand Blue because we want to watch Guilty Gear. So we sat for Grand Blue. It started like at 10 a.m. So we're on main stage from 10 a.m. to maybe like 11 p.m.
Whoa, what?
We watched everything.
Do they have restrooms there? Like, I couldn't.
They have one restroom in main arena.
Oh, hell no.
One, male, female.
Yeah.
And I think they had
per.
like a another restroom for whoever else, right? Like a family restroom maybe.
Okay. That's not enough for 10,000 people. Roughly
No,
10,000.
no. So we were fine. We were fine until Tekken.
Oh, no.
Until I decided, like, hey, man, I kind of want to go get that Guilty Gear water bottle. So we got out of line. My brother came with me because we got a sticker as well. And as we walked out of main arena, I had this sense of dread because I saw this giant line around the convention center, right? Like inside the convention, like it was looping around the convention center, right?
Oh, no.
And I text my cousin because he stayed in main stage, right? And I was like, hey, do you know what this line is for? Like, there's a giant line out here. Like, what the heck, right? And he's like, oh, it's probably like for a signing. Maybe, there's like a Guilty Gear signing. And I'm like, I don't think that. And I knew in my mind, I was like, fuck, this is the line to get back into main stage.
Oh, bro.
So we fucked ourselves, essentially.
Oh, man.
Right? So we walked out not knowing that we weren't going to get back in. Oh, well, we didn't know that. We were like, hey, whatever, let's go get that Guilty Gear water bottle. Let's go get a sticker. The water bottle was sold out.
Oh, no.
So I was like,
you didn't even get the thing you wanted.
So we walked back that way, and they're all like, and then I see this line, and the line is still there, and I ask a guy, he's like, hey, what's this line for? And he's like, it's to get back into main stage.
Oh, hell
and
no.
I was like, fuck, are you serious? And so we lined up in this line that it looked like you were like lining up for purgatory or something.
Oh my gosh.
And then eventually a guy came up, like one of the, I guess like he was maybe not a manager, but like a helper, support. And I asked him like, hey, we left our stuff in main stage. Can you get us back in there? Because, I have my water bottle in there. You got a backpack in there. And he's all like, you have a buddy in there? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, just tell him to get your stuff. And like, you can't go back in. Like, there's no way we're going to get you back in. And I was like, fuck. So what I did, we were like pissed, right? And that's when the Hey Hachi trailer dropped for Tekken 8.
Oh,
right?
No.
And there was a guy next to me. I felt so bad. I didn't do anything to him. I didn't talk shit to him or anything. But he was like, hey, look, it's Hey Hachi. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. But I was just like, I was pissed because I wanted to get back into main stage. I wanted to see Tekken top 6.
Yeah.
And so the line we were waiting in basically just dispersed because no one was going to get back in. So they had like little watch parties outside of the main arena, right? With like Maximilian dude, other streamers, other people that were like watching, playing. And there's like the guy was like, why don't we grab a chair and just watch? And I'm like, nah, man, sorry, So we left the main stage, the main arena of the convention center, went outside, right? Because we saw another line outside closer to the main entrance, right?
Okay.
Because there was like two lines. There was one in the convention center and the one like outside, but it's still inside the convention center. Kind of like the waiting room, kind of like where you just walk to get to like the food court.
Okay.
Like just halls, liminal halls and stuff. And we're like, we'll wait there, right? So we waited there for 30 minutes. Tekken started. Our brother was like, what do we do? And I'm like, you know what? Like, let me text my cousin. Like, hey, I don't think we're gonna get back in. He's like, you should have never left. And I'm like, nah, shit, bro.
Yeah, don't say that shit while
cool,
we're
bro. Yeah, he's younger and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't kind of quite get it yet, and he doesn't listen to the podcast, so I can talk shit. So
damn.
So we waited in this line. Another guy came up to us, and he was like, "Look, guys, no one's getting in. The fire marshal got called. Like we're at capacity." And I was like, man, but our seats are empty. Like we can prove it. Like my cousin's there, and we left our water bottles on the seats. They're empty. So the guy was like, all right, go up to the front and talk to security and let them know that like you have someone in there in main stage. Get them to come get you, essentially. So get my cousin to come get us.
Okay.
So I call my cousin like, hey, they're going to let us back in. You have to come back like into the front of the, where they let us in essentially and just prove that, you exist and that you have our seats.
Yeah. So
he comes out and the first security point check lady was like, no, we're not doing that. Right. And I'm like, but that guy said so. Right. So they sent my cousin back. Right. And I was like, shit. All right. That was our only chance. But then I see another worker who she looked like she was stressed out of her mind, but she looked a little kinder. And I was like,
oh, shit.
I was like, hey, like, that guy over there, the manager guy, told us like we could come, get our cousin and pick us up essentially and get us back into main stage. She's like, wait up. Okay. So she actually gave us another chance too. So I call him like, hey, get back here. Like they're going to let us in. So he approaches, right? Eventually another manager shows up they were letting people in that were doing this, right? That come, like, get your buddy, like, pick them up, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, because that's when I talked to that lady. I was like, hey, like, that's not fair. Like, we're standing out here. You know, they told us that, and you let these guys in, like, and I don't like to start a fuss. You know me, I'm pretty chill. But this time I was just like, no, dude, like, our seats are there. I know they're empty for a fact. They're empty.
Yeah.
You know. And so eventually another manager got involved, and so he had to go back with my cousin to check the seating area where we were sitting, that they were empty, that the seats were empty. So that's how you have to prove that those seats were available, right?
Damn.
So we had to go back with him, check that the seats were empty, and eventually we got in. That took about an hour, just waiting in line, kind of like we're not sure what to do. And then at the end of, like, when Street Fighter 6 was starting, you know, the guy that I guess, like, organizes it, and I don't want to talk too much crap about him, but the way that he put it, it didn't sit well with me. It was like, you know, we had too many attendees, right? But like, you know, it's up to you guys, the community, if you want to give up your seats, you know, make somebody's year essentially for Street Fighter 6 so they can come and watch it, right? And I'm like,
shit,
bro, you should have you could have expanded main arena, right? Because this was like, you could have done that. You sold 20,000 tickets, right?
Yeah.
You could have accounted for this, and they didn't. So they kind of threw it at us, the crowd, and that kind of felt super. I didn't like that. I was just like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah,
you know, but. Despite all that drama with the line, don't ever leave grand finals. If you're going to get there, show up, and you don't care about Grand Blue, you don't care about Guilty Gear, you only care about Street Fighter. Look, dude, I'll be real with you.
You're going to have to go.
You're going to have to go the whole time. So let me level with you. Pretend you care.
Ooh,
right?
Man.
And just sit there for 12 to 13 hours. It sucked because we didn't get to eat at all either.
I was going to say, like, what do you do for food or water or something like that?
Hopefully the water flask you have from Evo or you brought your own is enough for the whole day, which let me tell you, it's not.
That's not.
It's not.
13 hours?
You're going to go wait in line at the restrooms in main arena. Good luck. Yeah. You might miss half of Tekken 8. Tekken 8. You might miss half of that. There's a line. There's little food carts that sell hot dogs and nachos, but like, come on, man. McDonald's is like 5-10 minutes away, and I can get like 2 hot and spicies for $5.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
that's the move.
Yeah, it is. Do that. You'll save a lot of money, especially for that merch. So it's like you're stuck there. It's like you can't leave. So it's like dystopian because you're like, you know, in a giant crowd next to other people. If you leave, you're gonna lose your spot, and you're not coming back in. So yeah, that was the ugly part of Evo.
Now I see why you're calling it purgatory.
Yeah, it was not fun.
That's rough.
But that wasn't enough to deter like how much I enjoyed Evo. And then like I think the day I came back, I was just so tired that I was like, finally I can go home. But then like Tuesday hit and I was like, man, I'm sad. We gotta wait like a whole year to go back.
Yeah.
You know, even if like, I don't know, even if we compete next year as well, you know, that'd be cool. But like I was just like, damn, like now, like, what do we do now? Like, you know, now the tournaments are all online because we can't afford to go out to like the East Coast and watch whatever.
Totally.
You know, so I was like, damn. So
you missed it. Yeah,
it was
like
awesome.
The post festival blues.
Yeah, I was like, dang. But yeah,
damn,
I mean, that was my experience.
I'm so glad you went. Like, it sounds like you had an amazing time overall. Some frustrating hiccups, but I'm glad you were able to get back in at least to watch It was the Tekken 8 finals, right?
Yeah, because Street Fighter was after, and that's the one we really wanted to watch.
Oh, okay.
Because they were like, nobody's getting in.
Yeah.
Like, they called the fire marshal in because they were at capacity, and I was like, dang, all right. But we got in. I don't even know how we pulled that off. We did. Yeah. I usually don't like to push buttons or be like assertive or anything like that. But at that point, I was like, bro, we were already here for Grand Blue. We were here for Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, our seats are there. You know? And I wasn't like yelling at anyone. I was just like, come on, like, work with me. Like, you know, I know those seats are empty.
Right.
Because they were saying like there were no seats left. I'm like, that's a lie.
Yeah.
And when we got back in, there was tons of seats left.
Of course.
Yeah. So now when Street Fighter 6 happened, there were no seats left. Good luck. Good luck. That was rough. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, like you said, maybe next year you'll compete. Maybe you'll be one of those persons who makes it to top 6 in Guilty Gear Strive, and you could make sure the world knows your name.
Maybe. We'll see.
You're fighting under mind controllers, right?
Yeah, for sure. We'll get everyone to fight. Anyone I find, like, hey, you want to compete?
Oh, man.
The mind controllers 1. Mind controllers 2.
One of us will make it for sure. Wow, dog. Yeah, that's awesome, though. You were so looking forward to this thing for months. We were talking about it for a while, so that's cool. Do you feel like it lived up to your expectations and to your hype?
Oh yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah, all those like crowd interactions and stuff, I was just like, that's really fun. The merch was cool. I had a really good time. And like the fact that we had to, luckily we're out in California, so the drive to Las Vegas is like 4 or 5 hours. If you leave early enough, you'll make it there pretty early.
Yeah.
The drive going wasn't bad. The drive coming back was rough.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. There's always so many people who are also leaving Vegas for whatever reason, and then it turns into a bunch of traffic. It's bad. And it gets pretty boring too on a certain stretch of that.
Yeah, because it's just
on that highway.
flat land, desert,
Yeah,
right? It's like,
it's
man, let me
nothing.
see a cactus or two or something.
Something.
And it
Damn.
feels like you're never gonna get home either.
Yeah, I hate that feeling. It gives me anxiety thinking about it. Did you expect that to be an hour?
No, and I'm looking at that and like, hey, maybe we should cut this up, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, maybe at the very least, we almost never do this. Let's take we'll take a small break. I'm going to edit this so that it's, it's not going to be the full break length, but then we're going to get back to it.
Sounds
so
good.
This will be our first break in a main episode. Whoever's listening right now, thank you for being a part of this break experience. We'll be right back and we'll talk more about fighting games. See you soon. Cool. Welcome back from the break. And now we're going to talk. Now that Joe has beautifully summarized his experience at EVO, we're going to talk a bit about the psychology behind fighting video games and competition. So, yeah, Joe, if you want to start us off and let us know what you learned from research and maybe from your own firsthand experience.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get to it. So, fighting game psychology. So, we're going to start with a article from Furley, 2018. What modern sports competitions can tell us about human nature? So, a lot of the esports stuff is new, right? There aren't many research articles. We do have that database that you discovered, right? Mm-hmm. But even then, I was like, okay, well, why do people compete? What's up with that? So let's get into it. So definitions of sports vary by Lombardo 2012. It is often described to include all forms of competitive physical activity or games that through casual or organized participation aim to use, maintain, or improve physical ability and skills, providing enjoyment to participants and sometimes entertainment for spectators. So yeah, esports, I mean, that's going to be entertainment, right? I'm pretty sure, for fighting games, not everyone's going to be going to like the gym, right, to work out and stuff. But there are some dudes that do it. There are some guys, like, shout out to like, Big Bird, because I saw a post on Twitter and I was like, dang, bro is buff.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Jesus. I was like, God. And I'm like, yeah, so there are like, physical like abilities as well, You got to be really quick on the controller. Like, you got to be like executing perfectly. Like, even an arcade stick, like some people now just play on controller because the buttons are closer together, right? Arcade sticks are a little farther.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And it's now you're learning.
Yeah, now I'm learning. Now I'm struggling. Now it feels like I'm playing the piano sometimes on that thing. But yeah, this requires work, and it requires a lot of practice. And you got to go out there and like meet people, fight other people, through the games, not fight them physically. I mean, you can if you want. I won't stop you, but but still, it requires a lot of time commitment. Getting back to the article, so dual inheritance theory is best described as a culture gene coevolutionary model that rests on the premise that human behavior is shaped by a dynamic interaction between culture and genes, saying that, we as a human, yeah, we have our culture, but we also have what we, gain genetically, obtain genetically, right? This is they coexist, right? So from this, it follows that genes affect culture evolution by influencing psychological predispositions for learning, whereas culture creates ecological situations which genes are selected for the adaptive utility in the cultural environment. So I'm curious, like, somebody who won Evo, right? Someone who's a champ, when they have kids, like, does this stuff transfer? Like that ability to like put in the work, the skill, like what does that look like? And we don't know what that looks like because a lot of people, that are doing esports are pretty young right now.
Yeah.
And it's even like people that are a little bit older, like Jay Wong, like he has a daughter, right? Like, would she get into esports? I don't know. We don't know, right? And what that would look like. So for like regular, like modern sports, yeah, you could see like, I think like LeBron James' son is now playing basketball as well professionally.
Yeah, he got drafted by the Lakers also. So
So
and then you see it often in baseball too. Just like the father played baseball and then their son like gets called up. Yeah, so it's a thing. I'm sure that's the only sport I really follow closely enough to talk about it, but I'm sure that happens pretty often in other sports too.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, where does esports fall into that?
Yeah.
Only time will tell. So let's get back into it. Sports should be considered a byproduct of other adaptations, including motivational drives and capacities to develop adaptive skills to compete for status and mates, and to monitor abilities of other forms of beneficial coalitions. So forming groups with others, right? Attracting status and mates as well. I don't know if esports is attracting mates. I don't know. I mean, no hate or anything, but like maybe it is, maybe it's not.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. You're right. I don't know.
So Furley goes on to describe 4 hypotheses to explain participating and watching sports. So we got the first one, which is skill acquisition and development. So from an evolutionary perspective, sports probably originated as a cultural activity invented to develop and practice war and hunting relevant skills. Such as, like throwing spears and whatever, whatever else.
Whoa.
That could be, again, it's a hypothesis, right? Therefore, it seems that feasible that humans might have evolved an adaptive urge to engage in sports when they do not feel pressure to strive to fulfill basic human needs such as foraging and hunting. Now I can't look at the word strive because my brain just goes guilty gear. Yeah. The tendency of humans and especially children to play and engage in sports might be considered an adaptive strategy for developing stable fitness-related skills and also social skills. Top-level sports can be considered as a showcase scenario for demonstrating the immense skills and degree of specialization in humans who can achieve all of this with experience and practice, which that makes sense, right? I mean, we're not all going to be at the Olympics, which is happening. Yeah, I know I'm not. Like no way.
Esports Olympics.
You think that would be a thing? I don't think that.
Didn't they? Yeah, no. That I think they actually just signed that on, or
Really?
certain part of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, like approved video games in the Olympics. It's not happening this year. I don't know when it'll be a part, and I don't know if it's going to be a part of the main stuff. But
Yeah, I wonder how the normies would take that, right? Because they're like, oh, they're just hitting buttons, It's like, dude, no, it takes way more than that.
normie being somebody who just doesn't play video games at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to have the same sort of resistance as esports does now to that crowd who doesn't really follow. Would be my guess of just like someone who just like diminishes its need for skill, or like just sees it as something that's not quite as skillful as like playing a sport. But maybe there will be those people who were unfamiliar with it, and then after they see it, they're like, oh no, actually it's kind of cool. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll convert some people.
Maybe. We'll see. So prolonged nurturing and developmental phases enabled humans to specialize in certain tasks, acquire incredible levels of expertise that were useful in exploiting the environment to facilitate survival and reproductive success. So sports have also been associated with the development of a moral code and collaborative skills. It is plausible that humans are innately predisposed to enjoy engaging and playing in sports because this has a proven and beneficial context for skill acquisition and development. So Furley says that, even though this is a hypothesis, it's unlikely that the skill acquisition and development hypothesis is sufficient enough to explain, sports, why we watch it, why we enjoy it, right? But he's got other ones going on here. Like the next one is status seeking. Status seeking, from a Darwinian perspective, sports may be seen as one of the cultural activities invented to promote the acquisition of status. And acquiring status is on average, in the long run and in the ancestral environment to which our species adapted, beneficial to an individual's reproductive success, right? So it's like you got more status, you got more money, right? More mates, right? And more reproductive success. Acquiring and communicating status can be considered a fundamental human motive, according to Anderson, Hildreth, and Howland 2015. That is assumed to have evolved as an adaptive cognitive strategy that helps organize group life by establishing and maintaining status hierarchies. Sindanis and Prado 1999. Because unrestrained physical fights, combat, and warfare pose the risk of physical harm and death to competitors, sports have been suggested to be culturally invented arena for publicly displaying desirable qualities such as strength, endurance, bravery, and fighting ability. So this is not Gladiator, right? We're not chopping people's heads off.
Yeah, no one needs to die in this case.
Yeah. I mean, we're kicking a ball really hard across the other side, right? And that's me just being, with sports. Yeah, reductive with sports. Yeah. Dominance, pride, and confidence have been linked to high status, social status, and support. The idea of sports as culturally invented indicator of social status, that makes sense, right? If you're really good at it, you got the status, right? And that's more desirable. Because the desire for status can be considered a fundamental human motive. It can be attuned to status cues. Again, we're going to be going into courtship displays next. So this has a lot to do with that as well. And there's also prestige bias with status, which predicts that humans have the tendency to attend and copy the behaviors of the most successful individuals. So think about like kids growing up, who their heroes might be, like Shohei Ohtani, right?
Yeah, that's my man.
So
even I felt like when we were growing up, just saying like Kobe, whenever you like throw a piece of paper into a trash can or something.
Still do that.
Oh yeah.
I still do that.
I think I heard some podcasters ask like, are kids saying like LeBron now or something? Yeah, I don't know. I think Kobe still got it.
Yeah. So there's that bias, right? So moving on to courtship display, the third hypothesis. Darwin, and we're talking all about Darwin, pointed out that that evolutionary goal of reproductive success explained the fancy ornaments and costly armaments found both in the animal kingdom. So look at a peacock, right? It's like, it's a pretty bird, right? It's trying to attract mates with its plumage and whatever, right? So in a way, it's like, hey, I got money, I'm good at sports, find a mate.
Yeah.
That's what this is saying. It's been suggested that sports may have been seen as a cultural phenomenon invented to communicate mate quality. In this sense, sports are culturally invented indicators of physical fitness. That makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
Research has demonstrated that many athletic abilities are heritable and correlated with good gene traits. So that's why I'm like, where does esports fall into this, right? Is being good on an arcade stick heritable? Because damn, no, my parents were not good on an arcade stick. But that, whatever.
I know. But our kids will be, apparently.
I don't know. Only time will tell. So moving on to the next one, coalition formation. We're forming groups. In line with the evolutionary framework, being a fan of sports teams probably reflects an adaptive solution to the fitness relevant problem of avoiding social exclusion by binding individuals into a group and thereby facilitating resource acquisition. So we're stronger in a group, right? And humans are like that, right? Yeah. You can be an individual, but sometimes you have to lean on other people. It helps. And so sports can do that, right? You're learning teamwork, right? Camaraderie, right? And how to behave in a group. Research demonstrates various benefits of being a fan of a sports team, such as heightened feelings of connectedness, increased popularity, elevated self-esteem, particularly when the supported team is successful. Yeah, like when they're burning down LA because the LA Kings won, or the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Camaraderie, we're burning trash cans.
I know.
And if they lose, we're still burning trash cans after.
We're riding. I know. When the Dodgers won the World Series in 2020, if we weren't in a pandemic, what would the city have looked like?
We still have a city.
Maybe not. Would have been, everything would have been burned.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows, right? But that relates to esports as well, right? Like, again, that Street Fighter 6, like everyone stood up and was cheering, right? The game wasn't even over yet, but when the level 3 landed, everyone was like, it's over. But we're all gonna stand and cheer, right? And we're gonna say you deserve it and like, great job and USA, because this was like, I think this was one of the first times that someone in the USA actually won a Street Fighter tournament.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
They won. USA won Guilty Gear as well, which that's an anime game and fight. I mean, I know Street Fighter's Japanese, right? But still, like a lot of the winners for this Evo were from the US. And so people were like, they were like, psyched.
American pride.
This is our game now,
Jeez.
right? You know how it is. It's like USA, USA, right?
That's
and
funny.
I was like, all right. And they got me once. They got me into it too. It's just like
you found yourself shouting.
I was
USA.
like, damn it. It's not Chipotle, but it is USA, and we are in Vegas, which is part of USA.
Yeah, true.
So a feeling of connectedness, I'd say. Future research shows that sports fandoms bind individuals of a team and ally fans together. These empirical findings support the claim that instances of modern group behaviors such as sports fandoms can be understood as an adaptive solution to the fitness-related problem of intergroup rivalries and warfare. So essentially fitness-related, it's like, the survival of the fittest, right? Instead, we have groups, right? In the sports fandom, hey, if you're the winning team, you're a cool guy, I guess,
Oh, okay.
There is some overlap between status-seeking argument and the coalition formation hypothesis of sports, and these two lines of reasoning can be considered complementary. So because the success of a certain team or players influences the likelihood of becoming a fan of that team or player, you're also going to be forming groups, right? You're going to see some maybe more winning success, right? Yeah. Hey, you might meet your future partner at a Kings game. I don't know, right?
I do know someone who met their partner at a Dodgers game too, so that's funny.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
So things happen, right? But that's what this article is saying. It's like, this is why we watch sports. This is why we enjoy sports. Those are the 4 hypotheses by Furley, 2018.
Interesting. Okay. It's cool to see this like apply to both, like physical sports and then digital or esports and stuff like that. And at the very least, like show us the backbone behind both of those and why we enjoy those sports. Because it feels like there was this like, not disdain, but like dislike from like the video game players or people who enjoyed video games and didn't like sports and just called it like sports ball to like be
Sports,
reductive of it.
yeah.
You're doing a good job uniting both of them right now.
Till I say something that like we're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of these, hypotheses, I feel like they, they translate to esports as well, right?
Yeah.
Being part of that fan, being part of,
so.
content creator that you enjoy or a streamer, and seeing them go to the top, right? And then everyone cheering for them,
Yeah, it's a lot of the same psychological concepts as cheering for your favorite team or your favorite like athlete.
Right.
Like, I mean, are we calling them like the esports players athletes as well?
I would say
No?
so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would call them athletes.
Yeah, because I mean, all the research we have both done points at like them going through a lot of the same emotional stressors. Maybe not the same physical fitness, but mentally it's the same.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to train, you got to put in the work. I mean, you're putting probably like 40 hours into Street Fighter a week or maybe even more.
Yeah, straining your eyes on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Athletes.
So, yeah, on to the next one. Fighting games and Go. So Go is like a Japanese game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
With
like the little tiles, right? The little circles.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
it was like the little black and white.
I just know it from, I think, Hunter x Hunter.
Oh,
right?
yeah, with I forget the Chimera Ant's name again.
Meruem and Komagi, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That was so weird. Yeah, you were right. It's the black and white tiles. I'm not 100% sure how to play this, though.
Oh, no, me neither. But I found this article and they were exploring the aesthetics of play in professional gaming. And I thought that was interesting. So this article is by Johnson and Woodcock 2017. So let's get into it. No longer computer games pure play and leisure, but they now form professionalized careers for many players. Similarly, games are not just played in one's home or with friends, but now can be broadcast to millions. These two changes signal the need for a substantial reappraisal of the cultural meaning surrounding acts of gameplay, specifically in this case with regard to the impacts of professionalization and live broadcast. So yeah, I mean, we're no longer playing these in our basement, right? We are now streaming them. People are putting their input. People are getting salty online. People are happy online. They're excited, Now
Yeah.
this is being able to be broadcast, which is like the next step from the arcade, right? Because we would have to go physically to a place to play arcade games.
Yeah.
Now you can play them online, which you lose something in the translation of that, but I think it's great that people can play them online with others and feel connected as well. So games are often contain reactionary imperial content as militarized, marketized, and entertainment commodities, which means that most games involve fighting of some sort, such as the range of what we might call fighting games, and they're potentially endless, right? There's people still playing Third Strike like we were talking about, right? That's like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And people are still like really good at Third Strike.
Yeah.
Like they've honed that into a science, it seems like. And the basic conception of fighting games can be traced back to Sega's Heavyweight Champ in 1976, which was a boxing game rendered in black and white that saw two boxers facing each other down from the two sides of the screen. Yeah, it's like very archaic, very like old looking, right? And now you look into like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, like the jump in graphical quality, gameplay, right? It's just night and day. It's like, whoa. And I feel like that's way more appealing now. I mean, no disrespect to Heavyweight Champ, but the Heavyweight Champ's not at Evo. It could be. Maybe we can make a case for it someday and be like, hey, I want to see Heavyweight Champ on the main stage.
Be wild. I'm sure because I'm sure everybody's like broken that game at this point. There must be like some surefire way to win.
Oh yeah.
And we just don't know about.
Yeah, and it's like a really, really old too.
Rudimentary one, yeah.
It was the arrival of Capcom Street Fighter 2 in 1991 that introduced the modern fighting game. Two fighters drawn from a range of characters with different moves and special attacks. They face off against each other and battle to reduce their opponent's health to zero over timed rounds. Due to this combination of rules, ending with whoever won 2 rounds first being declared the winner, Harper 2014 argues that it is no wild leap to call Street Fighter 2 the progenitor of the modern fighting game. This has indeed become the architect of 2D fighting games, introduced rules and mechanics that have been repeated and developed since. Yeah, this is something that you continue to see, right? 2D fighting games, there's, you're on a plane, right? Essentially, like it's a flat plane, right? It's the background, it's you, Ryu, and Ken fighting each other. As opposed to like 3D Tekken that has a 3D movement where you can sidestep, right? You got like the whole 360 thing going on. So this is Street Fighter 2 in the 2D fighting game. So the most notable development came from the move to 3D Battlefield with Sega's Virtua Fighter in 1993, such as the format was developed in Tekken and the I think Soul Calibur series as well. and adapted into notoriously graphically violent Mortal Kombat series. So Mortal Kombat, remember, I think there was like a whole thing that it was too violent, you know, when it came out. You know, video games are poisoning society, blah, 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 all that stuff.
Oh, I remember that.
You know, which people still believe now to this day, you know, which is wild. But, you know, these games became noted because, you know, Mortal Kombat did because of the bloodshed, fatality moves. And I gotta say, I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat fan.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of, like, disembowelment and, like, you know, destroying your opponent in a bloody way and just murdering them.
Just like the
the
extremely
fatality,
over the top gruesome manner of it.
Yeah, like even now I'm like, the older I get, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't appeal to me anymore.
Do you feel like you're put off by it, or like maybe when you're younger you're like, oh, that's so cool, and now you're just like, whatever?
I think when I was younger by it, I was actually terrified by it. I was like,
really?
Yeah, because I was like, the Street Fighter, like, you know, they don't do that in Street Fighter. And I was like,
yeah,
there was like a Quan Chi fatality where he just pulls your neck out. And I was like, that looks so weird and jank, but that shit like got to me. I was like, no, I don't like that. That's gross. You know, and ever since then, I'm just like, yeah, I don't like, I like the Mortal Kombat like story and the series and the characters are cool.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, the over the top bloodshed stuff, that doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I feel that too. I'm not too big onto the fatality stuff. I've never been really into Mortal Kombat in general. I think a lot of my friends were when we were younger. He was never for the like all the blood and the gruesome stuff and like brutality there. I don't know. I get it. I could see how some people might find it appealing, but yeah, I'm also not too into it.
Yeah. But, you know, what are fighting games? So Harper 2014 provides a 5-part working definition of fighting games. The first part is that these games are often in close quarter combat, differentiating from the FPS first-person shooter, for example, and identifying the common terms of reference in which players compete. The second is that characters in these games have standard and special attacks or moves. This provides the rule set and tactics by which players engage, which is right. I mean, you can't have like Ryu like do some special move that's not programmed, right? This is not like, you know, a movie or anything like that. You know, these are all moves that are put in the game, right? You're supposed to execute, you know, and this is like, there's a boundary there, right? The boundary of there, you're playing this game with. The third is that, you know, the match parameters are quantified on screen in some way, whether through timers, counters, or otherwise. The fourth is that fighting games are competitive, allowing players to battle directly each other and for a victor to emerge at the end. The fifth and most important is that fighting game fans, you know, is that these games allow for multiplayer competition, right? I mean, I see that, you know, like we're talking about Call of Duty, yeah, there's fans as well, right? But I wonder if there's like a huge community as like the FGC, the fighting game community, you know, for Call of Duty. I don't know. There might be.
I think there might be now. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people who are into that and watching the...
I wouldn't be surprised if the Call of Duty community is actually bigger than the FGC.
Yeah, it might be. It feels like a lot of people rally behind... I feel like the FPS games that are like revered and like played in a competitive setting, there aren't too many of them. I mean, Call of Duty is probably the main one that I could think of that like might have a big main stage championship type thing, but at least with fighting games there's multiple of them, so you probably have some people who are into each individual fighting game of like either just Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 or Guilty Gear, but then you have a lot of people rallying behind this one FPS game of Call of Duty,
right?
Would be my guess. So I think the numbers might be higher, maybe.
There are processes of physical practice and development of rapid reflex, which Ferrari 2013 terms drilling and Witowski 2009 terms training requires. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, to be good at a fighting game, it takes time. You know, you have to have the reflexes for it, which Lord knows I don't have those reflexes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like I'm always getting shit on for those. Players must layer upon layer of physically demanding action in order to be competitive in these games, as well as being able to formulate and carry out long-term strategic decisions and make skilled on-the-fly tactical decisions, often with only seconds or even part of a second to respond. And that's true. You know, like I was talking about the Street Fighter 6 finals, it's like Punk could have dropped the combo and that could have been the end of it. You know, Big Bird could have won the championship instead, right? And it's like these decisions, like these are some fast decisions, right? And a lot of this stuff is on instinct as well, because you're like, oh, my opponent's gonna throw a projectile, let me counter it, and then let me punish him, right? So let me hit him. that's something you have to learn over time, right? You're not going to be doing that out of the gate.
Yeah.
If you do, then you're like a natural prodigy. And what are you doing? Why are you sitting here? You should go play Street Fighter 6 for money. Yeah, so it takes time and it takes practice, and there are like coaches. There's actually like a website where you can get coached by esports players as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess as a way for them to make money, you could pay them.
And that's a thing. Why do esports and fighting games have appeal? So let's see. Harper 2014 notes that gameplay is not static, but rather something experimental and fluid. And moreover, even the act of observing the game and socially engaging the player can present in its own way a type of play. And that makes sense. Even if you don't know what's going on, like in Grand Blue, it's a fighting game, so I know what's going on. But like when characters are doing weird stuff, I'm like, whoa, what the heck? And it's like, it's engaging because it's like, oh, I didn't know the character can do that, And then professional fighting game players perform hundreds of actions per minute in a single set of games, best of 3 or best of 5, which can last up to 10 minutes. Naturally, some of these inputs do not translate directly into actions of the in-game characters. Sometimes they're not recorded. The combo gets dropped, right? So maybe the import, or you weren't fast enough, right, to carry the combo, to continue the combo. Anything can happen, honestly. Others might be overridden by other inputs, but nevertheless, this is, what keeps... this means that there's upwards up to 4,000 movements that can be recorded in these matches, which is a lot of brain power, a lot of thinking, forward thinking. There's a lot that goes into it. Into etiquette and equity. So there are many forms of etiquette around professional gaming, the central elements of which are arguably warming up, giving the other player time and space, appropriate levels and kinds of cheering, a fan or crowd support, and the most almost automatic acceptance of money matches. And so I learned about money matches. I knew these were a thing, but don't if you're we'll get into it. But money matches, essentially, I'm gonna play you for money. We're gonna bet like $1,000. If I can beat you 3 out of 5, you owe me money, right? Essentially, I make that money back. I'm like, damn, that sounds like I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, no.
But let's see. So etiquette: fighting game players are allowed to warm up before a match by carrying out what is called a button check. So sometimes you'll see on the stage, they'll like pop into a character, just pick a character and just check their buttons out that they're working, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that the arcade stick is working, make sure that the controller is working. That's just the etiquette of it, so that no one is like, yo, my controller isn't working, and you lose a match.
Yeah.
There are times where the controller does disconnect, and Evo does have a rule with essentially if your controller disconnects, if there's like hardware failure or anything, the other player, I think, gets the win. Right, but you get to replace your controller. You get to use a different controller instead.
Damn,
that's their rule, though.
But what if?
And it did happen. It
really?
did happen. Yeah, happened in Street Fighter 6, I think.
Like somebody's controller just disconnected randomly.
Yeah, it just stopped working.
But what if they're like using a regular ass DualSense or something?
That can happen. I think it happened to Punk multiple times too before, and he plays on a controller. So that happens.
Sucks.
That happens.
That's messed up.
Yeah, but that's their rule. And then getting back into the etiquette, cheering amongst the crowd is encouraged within the gaming arena. Cheers of a certain, they're usually pretty supportive. They're, the name, gamer tag, like even like this Guilty Gear guy that I was talking about that was playing this character, Asuka, that throws cubes everywhere and stuff, right? Like we weren't like, boo, no. Everyone was like, every time he threw a cube, the community was like, cube, right? Because we were like, no one wants to see this gameplay, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, when he lost, like, no more cubes, cubes, really? Yeah. But it's like lighthearted, right? We're not like, hey, yo, F you, that kind of stuff, I'm sure there are communities out there that do that, but like Evo wasn't one of them. That's good. Then getting into the money matches. So many fighting game players engage in money matches, either outside or during tournaments, which are games played with a specific amount of money at stake. It is ordinarily considered embarrassing and cowardly to decline a match unless the difference in skill is obvious. A professional challenging someone who has just bought the game, you don't want to do that. That doesn't look good on you. When a match is proposed between players generally considered of the same equal skills, declining the match will negatively affect one's standing in the community, especially if a substantial amount of money has been wagered. I was like, whoa. Okay.
Jeez. I mean, I'm sure they're not announcing that they're about to play a money match at Evo or something.
No, but I don't know if they let you do that. I'm sure there's a rule against that.
Something about that sounds illegal. Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I'm sure that's not going to prevent.
I'm sure you can find a place in Vegas where you can vote. Like gamble.
Yeah,
like this player's going to win. That kind of stuff.
Definitely.
Definitely. But yeah, I don't know if they were doing that on the show floor, right? Because if they did. Right. Can I get in there?
What I was thinking.
I want to see that. Final thoughts. So, in high-level competitive gaming, I hate how they say computer gaming. It sounds so old.
Yeah, I know. And what an antiquated term.
So gaming, however, we see that these are not necessarily mutually exclusive. So mastering flow, playing to the crowd, pleasing style of gameplay, primacy of tournament context, meeting social expectations hand in hand with the increasing professionalization of the field, the growing volume of prize money on offer, and the ever-shrinking boundaries within which acceptable models of play take place. So essentially, competitive gaming, fighting games are changing, right? We have the flow, playing to the crowd. It's like, in a way, wrestling, right? You know how, like, wrestlers play to the crowd.
Yeah.
Right? They got that going on,
In
now,
arenas, yeah.
And now, like, it's a little bit more accessible because now we have like modern modes in fighting games, which are, you can do like supers with one button. You can do automatic combos, right? Doesn't mean you're going to win.
Crazy,
like
joystick
you don't have to do that
inputs.
crazy stuff, right? You can win, right? You can win. I don't know if that'll take you to like top 6 because I didn't see any modern players up there, but it can happen.
Oh, that's like a controller layout you could do. I see now what you're saying. Okay.
I mean, the modern players are scary to play against online. I'll tell you that, because they can just whip out a super at any time, one button. They just got to hit one button. Well, I have to do the input for it.
I guess the benefit would, or the drawback would be that you can only assign the button to that specific super thing, or like what would the drawback be?
So it would be like, let's say forward X would be like a Hadoken, right? And then back X would be the Shoryuken, right? And then the level 3 would be maybe, down X and circle. Right, that would be like how you do your supers. Well, I would have to like input the
do the left,
the
quarter
like do all
turn.
that clicky stuff, right? So you have more reflexes essentially. You have more time to react. Well, I don't, because I have to do the input, right? But I think the way they balance is that the modern players do less damage. They do a little bit less damage. Yeah,
it does less damage if you allow that controller
if you do the input
thing?
like how you usually do on a joystick. I think your damage remains the same as like I'm playing on classic.
Oh,
yeah. But if you do like a one button super, I think it's a little like less damage. But there's still a terror online when you see a modern Akuma or a modern Zangief. If you're like, oh shit, this is not gonna be fun, because they get just like, you could just be standing there and that's it, right? They just press a one button super and you're gonna take damage.
Yeah,
because it's so fast. Because that input is faster than me putting it in the joystick.
And I wonder if because of that allotted time, it's worth just taking the less, or the trade-off of dealing less damage.
Right.
That's I didn't realize that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. So modern games, fighting games are evolving.
Yeah.
And that's why we have
modernized
Evo.
That's why we have
Evolution.
Evo. Yeah, and there was a lot of like fans there that, this was their first Evo. That was my first Evo.
Yeah.
A lot of, casual players that just want to check it out, see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And and final thoughts. Fighting games are fun. Give them a shot. That's all I gotta say.
I felt you talking directly to me when you said that last one. Damn, Joe, thank you for your trip report. Thank you for putting all this research into the psychology of competition and fighting games. I feel like I learned a lot about fighting games. I've definitely gained a new appreciation for them, not only from this conversation, but since I've known you in general. So that's been fun. I think later today we're probably going to play a game or something.
Looking forward to it.
We've been going an hour and a half on this one.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is like, it's like all me too, huh?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We, for the future, we were just going to focus on one topic for each episode, but we still did it here. It just turned way longer than we thought.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because I wanted to hear all about Evo and wanted to learn more about fighting games in sports. Competition in sports and esports. So I think we might call it there.
All right. Sounds good.
But yeah, for anybody listening, be sure to follow us on socials. I try to post a little stupid reels on Instagram. Should probably start streaming more on Twitch. We'll get on that. And yeah, I'm going to try and post like the video recordings of these podcasts on YouTube now that I'm like trying to do more of the video recording. But if you could just search up Mind Controllers, that's what we go by on all of that. And thank you all for listening. I appreciate you guys. All right. Well, take care. Bye, everybody.